Pack extra plutonium, invite your neighbours and shut that trapdoor. Life moves pretty fast if you don't stop and take a look around once in a while, and we feel the need for speed. This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 53, The 80's Strike Back.
Superman.
Welcome to part 2 of our 80s series. Tonight we're going to continue our look back at the decade of decadence. Thatcher and Reagan are now best buddies, Spock has gone missing, the nerds are about to get their revenge, and Cabot Cove's murder count is about to go sky high. I'm Paul Hawkins, your host for this episode, and as ever I'm joined by...
Brett Summers
and Damien Hicks.
In music, Michael Jackson is about to permanently change his hairline. Madonna is prepped to shock the world at the first MTV Music Video Awards, and Ray Parker Jr. is making it clear he ain't afraid of no ghost. On TV, Hulk Hogan is about to change the face of American wrestling forever, and no suburban cat will ever be the safe again. In film, a time-travelling cyborg wants to destroy our future, pensioners are getting a second chance at a future, and one high school kid just wants to get back to the future. We're levelling up to 1984 onwards, but before we do, did we miss anything last week?
We missed some big ones.
Ding, ding, ding.
I would like to bring to the table
Dramatic pause.
Yeah, damn right. It does.
Milking it.
The original, the proper, the only Bad Boys. 1983.
Bad Boys.
Sean Penn, S.I. Morales, Clancy Brown, Ali Sheedy. Proper hardcore prison drama. And, it's really, really violent. And, as I said when I spoke about it before, always makes me appreciate a good Coke can, whether it's in my hand or in a pillowcase. Anyone see that one? Remember that one? Oh, you should. You're in for a treat. It's much better than that one where that slappy
the
bloke.
Coke can reference, obviously.
But you don't see it coming because it's a great scene where they're following him in the prison. And you think, he's going. You just see him at a vending machine, and you're like, oh, he's innocently buying a drink, and then they're following him down. Of course, as soon as he gets into his prison room, he puts it in the pillowcase and then turns around and just disapproves of their behaviour with his Coke can in a pillowcase, or many Coke cans. And might even be the first role for Clancy Brown. Might have to check that out. This is
you can
before,
find out if you go to TikTok and watch our Heroes of Cult series.
We will indeed.
I wrote it and narrated it, but for the life of me, I can't remember whether that was
I think
his
it's
first
one of
role.
his he plays Viking because he was tall and he had blonde hair, and casting just it was casting genius. Not easy to watch at times, but I think that was the point he was trying to make. It was basically the American Scum, if you remember Scum.
That's the
Ray
impression
Winston.
I'm getting.
Yeah, very good. And it was Sean Penn when he still liked acting.
Before he went on method.
And Madonna hadn't got her claws in at this point, I don't think.
No, there's a good couple of years for that to happen yet.
Yeah, but when she got them in, she got them in.
So again, that was what I was actually watching then. I probably shouldn't have been. And it's definitely not left any lasting damage to my psyche, mental health, or any other things we look at these days. Cheers, Mum.
You don't feel the need to find a safe space.
No, I've got 3 cans of Coke in front of me.
You're all right, yeah.
I'm hard as nails.
So that left you unscarred, but we did miss, apparently, a film that did leave me scarred for quite some time, when I crept downstairs to see my mum and dad watching this video on telly. Don't worry.
Debbie Does Dallas.
It is R-rated, but not in that way. It was The Evil Dead.
Good film.
Well, you probably wouldn't have said that
say
to my
that
mum and
now,
dad after months of me waking up with nightmares.
It's the bit under the hatch. That's That's what always got me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the girl on it.
I can't
her
remember.
under.
It's a long time since I've seen it, but it's the hatch and the hand, and
Yeah,
I'm with you on that,
and the
Paul.
trees as well, where they have their way with the main female.
They
actress.
branched out. And the bit I always remember, which I think was the first time I'd seen it in a film, and someone will say, no, it was done by Kurosawa in 1862 or whatever, was just the whole basically because they had no money.
exactly what I was
the
thinking.
camera chasing people through the wood, like the point of view and that, which
but a lot of it's shot like right
right
low
at the
down,
ground,
isn't it? Ground level. Yeah, you're
I
right.
thought that stuff was brilliant, and I don't know whatever happened to the guy who directed it. I don't think he
Who knows?
went on to much else, did he? But that was a good trick, and it paid his bills for a lot of years.
Well, yeah. Well, there were quite a few films, and there was the TV series as well a few years ago, wasn't it? Ash.
Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yeah.
That was actually quite good. I enjoyed that. I never kept up with it for some reason. I think it's just on.
Well, I think it was
weird
on
times.
a time when we'd probably be out,
Mm.
so we'd only get to see it when once in
When
a
we
blue
went
moon.
out. Yeah, well, I guess it would be a miss of me, or is that a miss? Or
Remiss.
It's remiss, isn't it? That's the word I'm looking for. Not to mention The Thing, as I got a message about it during the week because we didn't mention it last week, so I am mentioning
Another
it
great
now.
film.
Yeah,
And this really does still stand up today. Evil Dead, okay, that's a bit.
Well, they kind of remade it in the second Evil Dead as well, didn't they? It was like, here's some money to make it this time.
Yeah.
So the flashback scenes were all sort of remade and etc.
but
But,
The
the thing was good.
still holds up.
I even liked what everyone thought was going to be a remake of The Thing. The one they did about
Never-
5 or
haven't
6
seen
years
it.
ago. But
Didn't mind it.
But it's actually, it ends up, the end is the start of The
Yeah.
Thing.
all right, okay,
So
that's
it's actually a prequel. Well, you watch
Yeah.
it thinking, it's a remake, whatever. And it just ends with like the dog running off.
all right.
And
Yeah,
of course, then the next one, you see the dog. Oh, spoilers. Basically, if you got a dog or a cat in a film and they're not barking at you, shoot them.
I was just trying to.
Actually-
it's tempting. I'm not going to say it because I think you'll lose your shit
Uh-oh.
if I say it. But
You're pointing at
I'm
me.
going to say it. I'm
Say
going to
it,
say it
say
anyway.
it.
I'm saying it. I'm going through with this statement.
Do it.
Kurt Russell's best film.
Ooh, big words.
Mm.
What about Tango and Cash?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
breakdown, here's breakdown, isn't it?
That's an
Yeah.
RV from hell. No, I must admit,
To be fair, yeah, go.
no, it probably is the best film he's been in.
There are 3 awesome Kurt Russell films that are high above in esteem. compared
Preach,
to any
brother,
other
preach.
film. Obviously,
Convince us.
Big Trouble in Little China,
Yep.
The Thing,
Mm-hmm.
Overboard.
Overboard. I like what you did there. That's
Shows his complete range of acting, doesn't it?
yeah.
Who's that banging the door? Dr. Death. We're getting our mum back. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Don't bash the microphone.
See, that much, I just smash and shout now. It's like what old Jack Burton would have done. But The Thing as well was probably one of the first films I remember with an ambiguous ending. Like that. Well, was it that one? Was it him? Was it Kurt Russell? Or was it, oh, jeez, what's his name?
No, we're not doing this.
No. It doesn't matter.
No, we didn't-
was
we
it
didn't-
was it
move
him
on.
or was it the other guy? Just the other guy. We're not. No, absolutely not.
But
not
I know
happening.
him and he's really famous.
That's fine.
He's a barman in Roadhouse. He's in Community. He's
I think the
he's in
other
They Live with Roddy Piper.
the other thing with The Thing as well is it had the perfect blend of suspense and gore. They were both there in equal parts.
but not for the sake of it.
No, and it did a sterling job.
Yeah, no, and also it had Buck Flower in it as well as the drifter. in They, oh no, that was They Live. I'm looking at Keith David. I was trying to remember his name. Keith David, yeah, who's in quite a lot of films. He was the dad in Something About Mary as well, when he gets caught in the zipper.
Oh yeah. I know.
No, he's been around for years, but he needed a mention. He is a hero of cult. But yeah, but that was the first thing I can remember. Like, people arguing about the ending. No, Kurt Russell had the alien in it. No, the other guy did.
Yeah.
And all that sort of thing. And It's, well, Google it. There's still, I mean, mate
whole
that's made
thesis
it.
written
Yeah,
on it.
mate that's made it has said it was in Keith David. You can tell by the colour of his eyes because the eyes change or something, and then the lighting change. He's basically said it's him, and everyone's like, he's just saying that. It could be him. It's his film. Listen to the man.
He made the damn thing.
Yeah, he knows. But but great film.
Cool.
And
Okay.
we've mentioned the thing a lot now, so we've appeased
we-
our
we-
audience
we have
who
appeased.
campaigned against us for it.
It's like free Deirdre all over again.
Yeah.
There are a few things we missed on TV that probably just worth mentioning if nothing else. Quincy finished in 1983.
Where did women get to go on a boat now?
Russian oligarchs, probably.
Howard's Way. They had
Do
to
you
wait a
think-
few years.
Oh, yeah.
You think Quincy started that? They all were watching Quincy on repeat and like,
Yeah.
that is the kind of lifestyle I would like. I don't
That's
know what
it.
the accent really
No.
was, but
I think it's one thing's clear. I don't think anyone in this podcast can do accents.
That almost reminded me a little bit of Dolph Lundgren. I will end you.
no. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger. What was the one where he was Russian?
Red Heat.
Yes, that was Arnold Schwarzenegger in Red Heat.
Right, okay. That's a good get out.
Yeah.
He-Man made its debut.
Man.
And the Masters of the Universe.
Speaking of He-Man,
Oh, yes. If you go to cultfaction.com, we currently have a competition going on where you can win the complete He-Man and She-Ra DVD box sets of all the original shows. Loads of extras. And the Secret of the Sword movie is on both DVD sets as well.
cool.
So if you like, and the Christmas special, which, you know, I don't think we even got in this country.
No, not necessarily.
So there's a reason just to buy it.
And that competition ends at some point. So
It ends. It's from our friends at Fabulous Films, and it ends at the end of this month on the day of release of the box set. That one's at the 26th of April. All the details at cultfaction.com.
And no employees of Cult Faction can enter or family.
That's right. And for those that have discovered us in 2023 and are listening back to our entire back catalogue, it's
Why?
this month in 2022 that the competition ends.
And by the way,
Yeah, and what are you doing?
have you found your evidence yet? Any solicitors out there? Yeah. But yeah, He-Man broke the mold. Was the kind of
In every way.
almost the Star Wars of the cartoon world. You know, people, they were hoping it would take off and sell a few toys, but it became like its own phenomenon. So much so they gave it a Barbie spin-off.
I suppose it was the first basically cartoon advert to sell toys.
I think there were...
Was it not everything else before that had been?
Others, but I don't think any had sort of broke through the sea. You know, they'd had little things with toys here and there, and it was kind of...
Yeah, but what the toys came first with He-Man, didn't they? That's the point.
Yeah, it was toys and comics first, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause it
Whereas every other time before that, had pretty much been, you know, they had the show first, and then
didn't they lie that they had a show? If I'm trying to remember back, because in the shows, cartoons toys that made us, whatever one it is on Netflix, the shows, toys, cartoons that made us, I'm sure they said, "Oh yeah, we've got a cartoon series," and they're like, "Oh cool, yeah, we'll get these toys out there." And it was like, right, now we need a cartoon series. So fair play to them. And everyone takes credit for designing He-Man as
I
well
don't.
on that show.
No.
Because he was like, well, I wrote the story. He's like, well, I drew the original draft. I did that, but I made the first figure. And it's like everyone's, yeah. But they all did.
But
And
ultimately, it was Mattel that owned the,
oh, yes.
what do you call it, CI. So
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, hundreds of episodes, hundreds of adventures, and so many moral lessons that
Yeah.
we learned about lying, stealing,
talking to strangers.
talking to strangers.
I.e. not to.
Yeah.
He-Man didn't teach us how to steal and lie and...
No,
go
that was
off with
Skeletor's
strangers.
job.
Yeah.
And a mighty fine job he did too.
And also in the world of cartoons, probably the best ride going,
Gem?
the Dungeons and Dragons ride.
Oh, we went Gem and the Holograms. Didn't see that episode.
Yeah, so Dungeons and Dragons, one of my
Oh, yeah.
personal favourites. Have to make a confession that I was slightly in love with Sheila.
I thought you were going to say uni then for a second.
Got a horn.
And obviously Peter Cullen
Oh, yes.
as Venger, who obviously went on to become One of the greatest heroes of all time.
Yeah, Optimus. And he was in Voltron. He did all the voiceovers in Voltron as well. In the days of long ago, which was also around at that time and amazing. But yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. They've never made the film we want. Every time we talk about this, we go to this point. Go back and watch that Swedish car advert or whatever it was from a few years ago. Google it. Just Google Dungeons and Dragons Swedish car advert. That's what we wanted.
Yeah.
We don't want the actual Dungeons and Dragons game. We want the cartoon in motion picture, real life form. What's it called nowadays? Live action. That's the thing.
It needs Disney to buy the rights for the film.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, not Disney. God, no.
BritBox?
Disney buy the rights and Jon Favreau direct it.
Yeah, the Defender of Childhood.
I could live with that.
Yeah, the Defender of Childhood, Jon Favreau should get it.
But we don't want them to do Transformers. We don't want them to
Pirates
do
of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean. That style. We want full on.
Transformers was Sony, wasn't it?
I don't know. I'm just using an example
Yeah,
of our childhood
I know.
being killed and ruined by live action film remakes.
And then we get the mashup. It's not quite a cartoon. It's not quite live action. It is Terrorhawks.
Stay on this channel. It's an emergency.
And I was thinking about this earlier today, actually, for some bizarre reason. Is when we, obviously go back and watch something now. Obviously, the special effects weren't necessarily great, or the practical effects weren't necessarily great. But the cool thing about being a kid, even though they're just puppets, who is not scared of an evil alien witch that controls, like...
She's brilliant in EastEnders at the moment. It's Danny Dyer's mum.
But yeah, honestly, it had everything, and we've discussed the way that didn't sugarcoat things for kids. Terrorhawks, prime example for that. We are going to subject little kids to terror, literally, with hawks. But it was scary. There were battles. Yes, the good guys won most of the time, not all the time. And
you could say as well that it kind of, I would say, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers took a little bit from that, because you had the evil witch on the moon base with her gang of weird people. They send some sort of creature. I thought that had been going
for centuries anyway.
No, that's the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, the first English American incarnation. Not the Japanese one. They've been going for hundreds of years. That's just never not been on TV. I think. But the actual American idea of when they put her on the moon and it's her base, and there's a lot of Zelda in.
Whatever her name is.
Oh my god.
Doesn't matter.
Yep, it's not important, especially for us two, because we don't care about
That's two
Mighty
things
Morphin
I've
Power
forgotten.
Rangers. If you want to see how scary Zelda is from Terrorhawks, find us on TikTok. Look for Cult Faction Essentials. I don't know, episode 9 or 8.
And remember, don't have nightmares after watching it.
And also, it's a bit racist now when you watch it back.
Well, that's why if you just go to TikTok, you haven't got to watch the racist stuff. You could just see her shouting, "Kill him! Kill him!"
Rita Repulsa, my brain's back. But yeah, that's years to come. Other things. What year are we up to? I don't want to jump.
We're still in the early 80s. 83 is our maximum limit. I reckon we can spend another 10 minutes on 83 before we have to move on. Otherwise, we're literally going to have 2 parts on.
Okay, well, we're going to have to mention, following on a bit from Kurt Russell, is another film that will look familiar to Kurt Russell fans. And it was called 2019, After the Fall of New York. And it was directed by Sergio Martino, and it was one of those Italian-American sci-fi straight to the DVD, straight to the video shop kind of thing. And if you do watch it, it does look a lot like a particular John Carpenter movie that may have been around at the same time and may have been filmed in between that on the same sets just to save money. And society is split.
Kurt Russell in some of the background scenes, having a coffee and a cigarette, or whiskey and a cigarette.
And but it is one of those. There's a mercenary who's sent on a mission to enter New York and bring back the only fertile woman left on Earth. So it's a bit even before Hell Comes to Frogtown.
I was going to say, yeah.
And it's very much, I mean, Google it, you'll see the poster. Classic art of what you'd imagine the film posters to look like, of that type of film in those days. But 2019, after the fall of New York. Luckily, it didn't come true.
Right, okay.
Just trying to see if we've missed anything else.
We missed a big one from 1982.
Did we?
Some would say it was more a domestic success than an Oscar-worthy box office nomination.
Oh, you're talking about...
Yeah, but it featured Sergeant Cannon and PC Ball, who ran a police station in a little town of Little Botham, and end up kind of getting stuck with it and stumbling across a gang of real art thieves and sort of, at the time, £1 million worth of paintings. And I mean, they'll never do it because they're two bungling cops, but they'll do it by accident. So Roy Kinnear pops up. John Pertwee's in it, and Arthur English, so a lot of old school names, and of course the two important names, Cannon and Ball, the
Legends.
boys in blue.
Rock on, Tommy.
Laugh me a laugh, grin me a grin.
Right, so is that it? Are we drawing an end to 1980 to 1983?
I think it's probably wise.
Okay,
As
cool.
I say, otherwise we'll be here forever.
Okay,
I'm assuming we mentioned last week that Pete Davidson took over
Yep.
as Doctor
Yep.
Who. So we're still a while to go till we get to the best ever Doctor.
yeah. Let's move on. Okay, so that was 80 to 83 focus, or main focus for this episode of the podcast. One of the best years of film, 1984 to 1986. Now, I'm gonna pretty much say I think kids of this era were spoiled for choice, as it were. Again, as we spoke about last week, you know, TV and film was literally, you had what was on and that was it. But the rise of the video was in full force. Now we had the proper VHS v Betamax wars of the early 80s, but pretty much I think everyone had a video by this point in time. And TVs were getting better. Yes, they were getting bigger. They were taking up pretty much the majority of the living rooms, not necessarily just with the screen, but with the whole telly itself to power the lights that were jeweling our eyes. So, who wants to kick off? I mean, 1984, film-wise.
Well, if we're going to go 1984, we must mention the global phenomenon that rocked the music world, and that is breakdancing. And I would like to propose Beat Street, Stan Lathan's 1984 classic featuring two brothers in the 80s South Bronx and the battles they have. And there's graffiti in it. There's the Beat Street Breakers, played by the New York City Breakers, and the graffiti artist known by his tag Ramo, and what happens to him, and their battles against society, the law, the politicians, and anyone else who just wants to stop them doing what they want to do.
That's literally the first thing you think of with 1984.
Well, breakdancing was cool.
The biggest films.
Okay, but if you're too white.
The biggest films going, and you come up with that.
It's a phenomenon. Everyone was trying to do it. It's not just, yeah, okay. Was it in the top 10 films of 1984? No, but everyone at school was trying to have a go.
Well,
some are better than others, and you're still jealous.
Okay.
Why? What have you got?
I don't know if I can compete with that, but maybe Ghostbusters.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. So I mean, this was one of those films. It was actually really well publicized. It was big. Everyone had the
was there a song?
Yeah, everyone had the image of Slimer coming towards them on the telly for pretty much 2 months before the film was released. I think I was actually a little bit scared of that.
He was on every cornflakes packet, that's for sure. I remember that.
Yeah. But it introduced us to pretty much, I want to say, a lasting legacy of humour, supernatural comedy that I guess has stayed with me. I don't want to speak on behalf of you guys ever since, but seeing the chemistry on screen of the Ghostbusters and I know that they had their fallings out, some of them off set and all that kind of good stuff. But what a classic film!
Yeah, never been touched. 2 and the new one the other day.
Sorry, I thought that was a Drew Barrymore film, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think that was an irony thing, wasn't it? It Ghostbusters 2 and Afterlife, and carried on that legacy, but that was the one that set it up. We're not mentioning Girlbusters, but yeah, that was the one that set it up. That was the one that rocked it, and I don't think anyone's really come close to touching it for a sort of an ensemble piece, with as much script and ad lib, and just it's a few years old now, and it's still funny, and it stands on its own 2 feet, and has spawned a franchise, cartoons, comics, toys,
and even to this day I can watch the film and still remember where the ad breaks would come in on the telly. Zool. DFS.
DFS. That's exactly what I was going to say. Well, no, it would have been Bird's Eye grill steaks. Will it be chips?
Or the pancake one, the frozen pancakes. That were also taking the world by storm in the mid-80s.
And Bird's Eye potato wafflies.
Yeah.
Wafflies. Versatile.
That's what I was... See, that's what they've done to me. They're not even called waffles in my head. They're called wafflies.
They were literally our version of the TV microwave dinners that they had in the States. This was anything that could be shoved in the oven for 15 minutes. A range of different brownie-looking things. And you'd have them with beans, because that would be your veg.
A tin of beans is like your 5 a day or something.
Yeah. Damien, make a pick.
Well, there's just one thing I want to say about Ghostbusters that it never clocked in all the 30 odd years. I think I saw this on YouTube or TikTok the other day, that someone points out that Rick Moranis' character is holder of the keys, always locked out of his apartment. Never.
Yeah, I didn't think of that either, actually.
No.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
Yeah, that's how clever the film is.
Oh, yeah.
Even now, there are still things you can spot. See if you can find Ron Jeremy. He's in it. We've spoken
he's
about
in the
before.
crowd, isn't he, or something?
Yeah. Well, now they know where to look.
I thought you were asking me.
Yeah, I was just like, try and find. I was talking. There's other people here.
Well, you're staring directly
at
me.
Millions and millions.
It's quite freaky.
The millions and millions listening in. But yeah. So yeah, Ron Jeremy's in it somewhere. But yeah, okay, that might have been better than Beach Street.
I'd say so. Well, talking of leaving an everlasting scar, never-ending story. I don't think I've got over the mud of depression or whatever it's called. The bog of despair. I can't remember what it's called.
That was Labyrinth.
No, Labyrinth is the bog of eternal stench.
Yeah.
But there's the mud of despair or the bog of depression or something like that. Wherever the horse ends up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was our Kes moment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
See, the jury's still out for me on that film.
Well, I'm watching it now.
No, but I like the song. And I remember somebody but the girl kind of weirded me out.
Yeah, well, yeah, she was a bit freaky.
Princess girl thing.
Yeah.
She was no Sheila from Dungeons and Dragons.
And she was real to start with. She was real bad.
Sheila
it was just something, I don't know. She reminded me of the lady from Poltergeist. I don't know. She had that kind of weird little person.
Dwarf.
Head towards the light. That woman. I don't know. It's just
he's
something about
here
her.
with us now.
And
he's watching. He's listening. All he has to do is give me a name.
Zool.
Yeah, that would have taken a turn for the worse, wouldn't it?
But yeah, I didn't, I remember watching it. I remember like, oh yeah, no one's story, the horse died, but me, I wasn't. Like a lot of people were like, I wasn't really.
That's because you're a tough 4-0 lad.
Yeah, that's true. I was on my bit of lino bopping some moves outside. I will get good at this. Why have I got no rhythm?
In your leg warmers and vest.
Yeah, probably. And my Hulk Hogan headband.
And we spoke about the rise of the computer games in our last podcast, and we were given what was at the time, in my head, a brilliant film.
I know where you're going with this.
I've watched it since and thought, that's a bit naff. But at the time, it was brilliant. He plays a video game about saving the world from aliens. Lo and behold, he has to save the world from aliens. The Last Starfighter.
What do you mean it's not brilliant?
It's not.
Well, it's a bit ropey. Actually, not much happens.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he unleashes like the most powerful weapon in the universe, and manages to kill all the other alien spacecrafts in like 10 seconds.
Starburst, it was cute.
Yeah, but that was the whole film. It was the build up to that.
And the whole he had the
10
replacement
seconds.
clone thing on Earth and that was really clever.
Yeah, it was clever, but again, not much actually happened in the whole film up until the last 10 seconds.
You could say the same about Beaches.
We're not talking about Beaches.
I strongly disagree.
It would be brilliant if they remade it now, as a prequel, sequel, requel, whatever. And I know we spoke about this some time ago, where there were potential in-works discussions about maybe bringing Last Starfighter back. I don't know whether that's actually progressed, but hey, let's hope it has. But yeah, at the time, bloody brilliant. And a watch 30 years later,
not so much.
I disagree. But that's what the fun is here. Okay, so where are we? Are we 85 now?
83.
84. Well, can I bring to the table
The Man.
I'm just trying to remember the cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers, known as Chud. The bizarre series of murders in New York City seem to point towards the existence of a race of mutant cannibals living under the streets. They are the Chud, the cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. Real proper video horror stuff. And it the title kind of gives away what's going on. There's cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers, and they're eating people. And 80's tastic. And there was even a Chud 2, Bud the Chud. It had a sequel. And I mean, you guys can't see it, but if I just show you the poster, just on its own, you can see its 80's glory.
That actually looks like it was drawn by a child.
It doesn't. Well, we were all children in the 80's. But another horror film that I probably should have watched. The other thing that I watched to sort of, make me not freaked out would have been The Adventures of Bert Raccoon. And the
Cyril Sneer.
Yeah, Cyril Sneer, and just maybe the start of my interest in synthesizer music. Run with us. Yeah, so the Raccoons.
I remember watching it every Saturday.
It was great. And then, but later on, it changed because Cyril Sneer became their friend later.
Yeah. Right, he had a kid as well, didn't he?
It was his nephew, I think.
Yeah, whatever.
But, the Evergreen Forest was always quiet until Bert woke up. And he was a character. Before Bart Simpson, there was Bert Raccoon. Oh, Damien's either got wind or he's disagreed.
I don't think there's a comparison.
Well, he was the loud, crazy guy that no one could control, but usually was easily controllable.
Jury's out.
Yeah.
It's the raccoons. We all love the raccoons.
I'm not dissing the raccoons. I enjoyed the raccoons. I almost joined in with Run With Us 30 odd seconds ago. But comparing Bart Simpson...
I said before Bart Simpson.
No, they're still...
Okay, who would you go for at that point then? So, who was the equivalent at that point?
Of Bart Simpson?
Yeah, of that kind of, crazy young child character who has crazy adventures.
Bart Simpson is not a crazy young child character who has crazy adventures. He's just a dickhead that is not quite big enough to be a bully and not quite cool enough to be one of the cool kids.
Eat his shorts, Damien.
Well, I'm just saying.
Don't have a cow, man. We haven't even got to the Simpsons yet, but okay, so who? Okay, over to you. You crushed my childhood dreams of the raccoons. I'm going to go home and burn the
raccoons.
I'm going to go and burn the DVD set now. You damaged them forever. Let's Run With Us, not Run With You.
There's no I in raccoons.
And let that be the end of it, right? Now, Moving on.
All right.
I completely forgot what I was going to say then.
Yeah.
So worked up about this damn Bart Simpson, and
Move on.
I don't think I can move on. I might just leave and let you two record this on your own. I'll come back and do the editing tomorrow. So annoyed. So, I don't know. On TV, we had Punky Brewster,
Yes.
Robin of Sherwood.
Yes.
Saturday night
The Hooded Man.
with fish and chips. Well, chip shop chips normally. No fish.
No fish.
No. We used to have the chip shop chips, but with like pork chops or steak or something.
Was
Oh,
it carrots and frozen peas?
Yeah.
Would there be mushrooms or fried onion rings?
We'd watch Robin
We'll have to wait and
Sherwood,
see.
and then Dad would normally put on like some random horror film afterwards. You know, like the one where he gets run over. No, he gets kidnapped by aliens and comes back as a dog. Alien thing. Do you remember that as a kid?
Benji's Axe and the Alien Prince?
No, the dad gets kidnapped by aliens. Years later, he comes back, but he's like some weird dog-looking alien. I'm sure it is. Could have been some dodgy fish and chips, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we always used to watch them like that.
You get your fish and chips
And
from
at the
Dodgy
start
Tony.
of that, you'd have like the trailer for Basket Case or something, just to really set the scene about what kind of film you're going to
I
watch.
can't find that one. There's a quiz. Find that movie that Paul may have watched as a child, or maybe he ate some paint or something. And
Yeah. It's
dreamed it.
quite be a fever dream again.
No, it's quite. I remember looking at it years ago, and it's quite a famous.
It doesn't
one.
ring a bell to me. But you know what does ring a bell?
So by the bell.
No. It's 1985. I've now given up on my breakdancing career because I've got something new I want to do. I'm going to be a ninja. An American ninja. Because that was another film that was kind of left around the house that I watched when I should have done. Michael Dudikoff, Steve James, American Ninja. He done all this cool martial arts stuff. When you watch it now, I did buy the Blu-ray box set, and I'll be honest, it was a little bit of a letdown rewatching it when you realise that a lot of the fight scenes are exactly the same from different angles. But again, the birth of ninjas in films. We had breakdancing, and then we had ninjas. Was there ever a breakdancing ninja film though? Did someone combine the two in the 80s?
I bet there has been, because the 70s was all about kung fu, wasn't it?
And disco.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I want to dance.
And they often did mix. But obviously Bruce Lee was huge. And then 80s, American Ninja was big. Obviously we had Karate Kid. So still carrying on with the old...
Well, the martial arts boom.
Martial arts piece, yeah. Wax on, wax off.
There was Ghost Warrior as well, where he was a samurai who... I think he was frozen, and then he woke up in New York and, wasn't quite right, so he went for a walk round and slashed up some people with a,
Wasn't
with a
quite
sword.
right.
Hiroshi Fujikawa, I can never say it. Ready Fujikawa or something like that. But yeah, he's 400 years old, frozen in ice. They actually stole the plot of this for an episode of Baywatch Nights years later. Only instead of a samurai man, it was a Viking played by come on, memory.
Doesn't matter.
The guy that played LaForce in Mallrats. No, Schwarzenegger's mate. Sven Olsen? No, LaForce, the mall security guard. Yeah, but he was in Baywatch Nights. He was the Viking guy that got defrosted.
Geordie LaForge.
No, not quite. I don't think he didn't quite pull off the Viking look. But yeah, so there was some great video. Man, I spent a lot of my youth in a video shop.
Well, I think we all did, wouldn't we? That was the thing to do. The smell of a video shop. The fact that you just wander around looking at pretty much the same videos week in, week out, but every now and again you'd have the 10 of them that just come in. Sometimes you could phone up and reserve a copy.
Oh yes, you get that phone call back. It's in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that with No Holds Barred, the Hulk Hogan classic. Waiting for that for many years. But do you also remember, Paul?
Do you remember
The 1982 classic, all summer in a day.
Like it's 1982 and we're now on 84.
I know, we're in
86.
4, but I've just remembered it, and I meant to mention it earlier. But we can time travel because we're timey-wimey. It was a short science fiction story by Ray Bradbury. It's about a bunch of kids on another planet who could never go outside because it rained.
Yeah, I remember that. Me and you were probably the one of only 2 people on the planet that actually watched the film. And it's so sad where she gets locked in just as the sun comes out for the first time ever, and misses it. But doesn't one of her friends give her a flower to make like everything okay? It's like, bitch, just been locked in here. I missed the no rain.
Yeah, Margot, she loved the sun so much, but missed out.
Story of life, isn't it?
That was one of those weird sort of half-an-hour films that used to appear during the school holidays. You were out with doing stuff with your family, see.
we were
I just sat indoors with a box of video tapes and a remote control.
And ironically, Brett and I were sheltering from the sunlight in case it burnt us. Watching about films that we just loved to see the sunlight.
Yeah, it was one it was like on after Sesame Street or before Why Don't You or something like that.
I hated Why Don't You. I could never understand what they were saying. Why Don't You,
Sesame Street. I don't think I really liked that many kids' programs.
Great Chill
of that genre.
Oh yeah, like the educational kids programs.
Yeah, dramas and stuff, and like Box of Delights and all the
Chucky.
other stuff like that.
Chucky.
Yeah. But
Forget Me, Matthew.
Sesame Street and Why Don't You, and even that thing you talked about a couple of weeks back, the thing on the bus. I don't think I would have liked that.
Oh, Double Deckers.
Yeah.
I don't think.
But again, we got it on repeats, so it was. We didn't get the Monkeys. I thought the Monkeys were a hip new band for a little while. Then I realised that every summer they were back on telly, and I'd seen it before.
And why is he wearing a woolly hat on a beach?
Yeah, because he's zany.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the Monkeys.
And they were wearing jeans on the beach as well.
Yeah, I've done that for years. Probably because of the Monkeys. And I'm a redneck. Do you remember when we used to get all the weird sort of
foreign cartoons?
Exactly where I was going. And then there was the car of tomorrow, the city of tomorrow, the kitchen of tomorrow, and Russian art house. I don't think they're ever meant for kids, but it was it's a cartoon, put it on, it fills 10 minutes.
or you'd have the really long ones that would go on for ages, like Ulysses. And how messed up was that? Deep, emotional, terrifying kind of. And there was there was another one as well.
Telemachus.
Like a similar vein to Ulysses, but God,
I'm impressed.
Mysterious Cities of Gold.
One single one of us broke into song the moment you mentioned Ulysses.
I'm fighting it back.
As soon as you do that, it's going to be in your head all night. You'll wake up at 4 a.m. going, Ulysses.
You've done it now. I was going to save it for Jason the Wheeled Warriors. But...
Yeah, see, that was one of the ones again where the storyline was the same every week, but I just carried on watching it. I mean, nothing really changed in Jason the Wheeled Warriors.
Nah. That was the thing. They never... You would have thought with those shows they would have made the final episode just to stick it on the end when it was finally done. Because a lot of it just went into syndications and rotations and whatever. But, film an ending, you bastards.
Yeah.
But then they might have run out of money before it got syndicated, and that was it.
Yeah, but a lot of these made 70, 80 episodes. It wasn't like they made 12 episodes. In those days, when they made they made stupid amount of episodes. You think, not one point, they think, well, we'll make a last one, so when it does end, we can just put it out while we've got everyone here.
You're talking as if this made by people that care. They didn't care.
They do
They
care.
just wanted the money to roll in.
Are you saying that it was just all about selling toys and trying to take my money?
No.
It was
going to disillusionise my whole childhood.
Well, let's face it, no one was buying Ulysses toys.
Yeah, good point.
But there was also the music.
I think it's because he looked like one of the Bee Gees.
So every decent cartoon had a decent soundtrack.
Damn right. I know where you're going, and you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And
I am right.
You're always right.
When we were talking about likes of Transformers, one of the greatest soundtracks of the 80s, and it's a kids film.
Yep.
But
you can check that out on our soundtracks episode.
Exactly. So that's why I don't want to speak about it too much. But everything had a decent soundtrack. So even the likes of Dog Tanyan whilst not a great soundtrack, how catchy was it? Even now, we probably all know the words to Dog Tandem. And Muppet Babies on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I
used to love Muppet Babies.
Yeah, you had a bit of a weird turn for a few years about Muppets Babies.
I think it was the way it blended, because I mean, they can't show it now probably because of rights, but it blended films of the day into the episodes. So there's the Kermit the Frog being chased by the big boulder, and the blue thing. What's the blue thing called?
Gonzo
flying, and then there's I'm going to get the name wrong. Imperial starship comes up behind him, whatever it's called.
That sounds alright.
Star Destroyer.
Yeah, that'll do. Imperial Star Destroyer.
Pole Position.
Yep, another one with a catchy sound.
That's one where the soundtrack is so much better than the actual show. I didn't like Pole Position that
Now,
much.
like your parents were, you are the secret force of Pole Position. And then I remember being shocked though when it turned out that the uncle, when they actually finally met him, he was in a wheelchair. The guy that was on the screen. There's one where they go, because he was always on the screen. There's one episode, something happens to him.
My first comment, which was, I never really liked it, so I'm not going to remember any of it.
Is that when you'd gone outside because like Bert Raccoon was on, so you go outside to like smash your head against a wall because you had no heart?
I'm going to say it again. Nothing against Bert Raccoon. I merely take issue with comparing Bert Raccoon to Bart Simpson.
We heard it differently.
In fact, I take issue with you comparing Bart Simpson to Bert Raccoon, because Bert Raccoon is a legend. Bart Simpson is just an annoying little brat.
That's what I'm saying.
Move on.
He's a spin-off of Bert Raccoon.
Move on.
But he doesn't have to be a good spin-off. He doesn't have to be a good
lineage there
spin-off.
whatsoever.
Move on.
It's a hill I'm prepared to die on.
Speaking of hills, Sun Hill also arrived at that point.
Nice.
The Bill, or Wooden Tops, as it was. Yeah.
Although that was just the pilot episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
And then
I think it was one of those like TV dramas, and then it got picked up for a series. But they used to do a lot of that. 'Cause a lot of Ronnie Barker's stuff was like one-offs, wasn't it? And then they were the shows we now know, like Porridge and something like that. That got picked up. So yeah, the Bill launching a lot of careers.
Main staple on TV schedules for must have been close to 30 years.
Yeah, I think easily. Most people, if you're a British actor around nowadays and you've had a long career, you've passed through Sun Hill at some point.
Or if you're a Spice Girl.
Yeah.
Or S Club 7.
Similar to like a Casualty or something.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another one. Yeah, Robbie Coltrane. No, not Robbie. Robert Carlyle was a press photographer on the Bill at one point. I can remember that.
Yeah. I know there's at least 2 Spice Girls where suspects of some sort being interrogated.
And I remember when our friend, the now Reverend Ellis Matthews, stabbed Dave Quinn in on the Bill. He got a 3-episode storyline out of that. And then you had Burnside. Todd Carty, one of Britain's most beloved actors, was on there. It was Gabriel something. He was the psycho copper. Yeah, the Bill, a nice British stalwart that many people got to cut their teeth on, which we don't really have anymore.
No.
Those sort of shows. I mean, you got EastEnders, stuff like that, but there's not those
it's not in the
shows where you could jump
they
in.
just shout at each other for 30 minutes. And
Yeah, but most of them, it's like long contract. The Bill, you could go in for 1 episode, 3 episodes. Mate, and even like Casualty's gone now, or one of them's going, isn't it? Casualty or Holby's going, or gone.
I think isn't Casualty already gone and one ends this.
There was the last
or something. I don't know.
there was last episode.
You haven't got those like where you can just be like a guest cast for 1 or 2 episodes and come off again.
All
really.
you got now is Death in Paradise.
Yeah,
it's the gig every actor wants.
Yeah,
you're probably right. It's the gig
I
want.
Yeah, but you'd have the likes of Doc Martin and all that kind of good stuff, wouldn't you? And
that's
the things
true.
that used to be
you do
on
get a lot of
ITV on
people
Sunday
popping up
night.
in that.
Yeah.
But I think that's ending this year as well. Just no money in it. People only want to watch rich people talk to each other in a restaurant or
reality shows.
Yeah, that was a reality show. I can't think of what it's called.
First dates.
No. Blind Day.
No, they're not rich people.
No.
I'm talking about
Towie.
One like it's like that.
Chelsea.
That's
Made
it.
in Chelsea.
Made in Chelsea. There you go.
I only ever see those people when they turn up on like I'm a Celebrity or something like that, and it's like, Who are you? I'm Bartholomew, and I'm from Chelsea.
Anyway, we've gone completely off topic.
Oh, we have.
I'm just going to read out some films from this period that we're talking about, and then we can go back to them if we feel the need to. Temple of Doom, Gremlins, Karate Kid, Fletch, Breakfast Club, Commando, Teen Wolf, Down and Out in Beverly Hills, Ruthless People, Aliens, Peggy Sue Got Married, Short Circuit, Pretty in Pink, Three Amigos, Weird Science, Lady Hawk, The Sure Thing, Starman, Conan the Destroyer. I've put Conana, but I meant Conan, Terminator.
Was that the porn version?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thought. Never Ending Story, already talked about that. Big Trouble in Little China, Space Camp, One Crazy Summer, Transformers the movie, Critters, The Fly.
The Fly was very, very good.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's got to be up there, one of the best remakes of all time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Breakfast Club, I think, took that genre and smashed it out the park and gave us the teenager molds that then occupied every teenager film since then.
Yep.
It also seemed, I'm not sure whether this is showing my age or whether I just feel old or whatever, but films just seemed a bit more original in those days. And now everything it just seems like a rehash over and over again. Or I'm a big Marvel's fan, but still it's the same, gist of the same storyline.
You're going to say the same jizz then. I said, yeah, it is. It's all about the jizz.
But and I was saying we were spoiled, but there just seemed to be a lot of new stuff coming out, and you're probably right. It's probably based on stuff from the 60s and 70s, but I wasn't aware of it. But yeah, we had the likes of Goonies.
Well, so the thing is, so what that list that you've got in front of you is the box office for those 3 years. There's so much
range
in those films. Now, if you were to take a snapshot of 3 years in the last 10 years, that range wouldn't be there. They would be all your Marvel nonsense, all your DC nonsense, the car, Fast and Furious, whatever number they're on now, 452.
9.
Yeah.
They would be all of that
and Parasite
blockbuster in inverted commas, but you'd have like one
that's
Parasite.
what I mean, that's what I mean. Yeah.
One I can't think now.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm so annoyed. I can't even think of another film. Whereas back then, chances were taken. Films were made probably a lot quicker for less money. Actors didn't command the amount of salaries they do now. So it all plays a part. But you're right. Originality is the biggest problem because no one wants to take a chance.
But I think we're going to see that grow again in the next few years with the rise of all the streaming services. I think you're going to get. I think we're starting to see that again now. I'm not saying they're all good, but you're getting a lot more stuff coming out now. Like all the Blumhouse horror films, even some of that stuff we've seen where it looks like we made it with special effects on a phone. But people,
well,
products is getting
gone
out
away.
there.
They haven't gone away. I mean, the stuff that Blumhouse are making, with the exception of the production quality itself, isn't a lot different to what was being made 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. The difference is we're getting to see it because of the streaming services.
Yeah.
But so it's more about the so-called blockbuster cinema stuff. They're not taking a chance on.
Oh yeah.
If that makes
sense.
sense.
Yeah. But I was saying the distribution services are now becoming our Blockbuster Video or Apple Video or whatever you want to go back to and
Sholu
remember
Video.
Sholu Video. And so I think we're still going to get that where we can go through and go, oh my god, like what was the best 80s movie not made in the 80s?
Psycho Gorman.
Yeah, stuff like that. That you're still going to get that, but you need to look. Or stuff like what's that one? Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway. I think it's on Prime or something now, but give it a look. You can hate me afterwards. But it's a great watch. But you'll be like, what? But not in a Mulholland Drive kind of way, but in a kind of like, have you put something in my drink kind of way.
I can live with that. I can't live with 20 years of trying to figure out Mulholland Drive again. There's a little corner of my brain that I think is still working on it. It's just there, wearing away. It's like SETI, those PCs that were sent out into the ether to find out if there was life on another planet. There's a little corner of my brain that is still reaching out to the other side of the brain that remembers the film and just trying to work out, was she alive? Was it a fever dream? Who's the thing? What's the man doing at the end? See, you've already stopped.
Maybe we need an episode of that.
Yeah.
To finally get it out of our system.
I haven't actually watched it.
Don't see my
No, you two put me off it.
No, it's a great film.
It's a brilliant film. It's one of the best films of the 90s, but
you got to work it out.
Yeah.
I'd be interested now.
Yeah, maybe that's your homework for when we come back out of the 80s, whenever this odyssey ends. We leap back home. But you're right though, because just look at some of those films and stuff like Cocoon. I want to make a film. It's a sci-fi. What's about? It's about a bunch of old people. They go swimming.
A lot, and that really funny guy from Police Academy's in it. What, the one that does the voices? No, the other one. The one with the guns? No, the other one. The big tall black guy? No, the other one. Oh, Mahoney. Yeah, no, I like Gutenberg. Like that.
He was huge.
Who
at the time? He was like one of the biggest stars going.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm still a massive fan of his now.
But yeah, that wouldn't get made now because a lot of these films tell a story.
Yeah, Goonies would have been a Netflix series.
I don't know. I could see Ryan Reynolds in Cocoon.
No, he's too.
Was he born then?
Over the top. He must have been. Let's not go down that route.
I just want to see the one where they come back again.
Either that or Nick Cage in the lead role.
Yeah. Brewster's Millions. That was a great film. Richard Pryor, probably at the height. Again, a remake, but he smashed it out the park. Commando was the beginning of the Schwarzenegger juggernaut.
Well, let's face it. When you look at 1984, how many films from Schwarzenegger did we have out then? Red Dawn, Terminator, Konana the Destroyer.
Some of them were good as well.
I mean, Terminator, I know a lot of people diss some of the later ones, and probably quite rightly so, but Terminator and Terminator 2, in my mind, it's particularly the first one, that was just brilliant.
Yep.
And even Terminator 2, the cracking soundtrack, and had a bit of a dodgy lead boy role.
I think the only thing that annoys me about Terminator 2 is the timeline, because it's supposed to be set in contemporary time.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the same amount of time since the first film, sort of thing, wasn't it?
So, like, John Connor's not even born in 1984, and yet in 1991 he's riding a motorcycle and hacking ATMs.
Yeah, but you got to remember, in America, that
he'd
30
be
7
years old.
Yeah, but 30-year-olds look 7 in America.
At the oldest.
No,
that's the only thing that bugs me about that film.
Yeah, but he didn't have a mother for a lot of that, did he? And his mother showed him what to do and grow up. So he was probably about...
Yeah, but does he look 7? Is he 7? No, he's not 7 years old, is he?
He acts like he's 7 in a lot of the film.
Commando, though. That was a great film.
Was it, though?
It was. I mean, Vernon Wells as the baddie. He's letting off steam. Bill Duke, who ends up later on in Predator. Alyssa Milano, the kidnapped daughter. Bill Paxton. David Patrick Kelly.
You're just saying a lot of actors' names.
Yeah, but David Patrick used to go Warriors.
I'm saying, was it actually a good film?
Branscombe Richmond.
It actually wasn't a good film. It was just a blockbuster action film from Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, but that was what it was then. That was, people were happy with that. Something happened, they took his daughter. What did he do? He blowed a load of shit up to get her back.
Yeah.
And he did. And then it was that was all you needed in those days. No one was like, but did he really get in touch with his humanity?
What journey did he go through to get to that stage?
I just think there were bigger, better action films of the time that didn't have Schwarzenegger in. And no,
you're just arsey because we haven't mentioned the search for Spock yet. That's what your problem is.
We're going to get to Star Trek.
But
right.
If we're talking about an actual good, in my opinion anyway, because I know some people don't like it, but Aliens, whilst a sequel, completely different to the first one, where so I think Aliens great for its suspense, and people were obviously talking about this
See,
in
I
so
think-
much detail.
And I'm probably going to get shot down for this, but I generally think there is an argument to say that Aliens is better than Alien. I think there's some really good standout scenes
Yep.
in Alien, but as a whole, I think Aliens is better than the original, than the first.
It's tough because it must be the only film series that pretty much for the first 3 films, each one just switches genre totally. Because the first one is almost like your murder mystery and space horror. Then it goes Rambo, and then it turns into a prison drama, which 3 is still really good and had Brian Glover in it. And
3's good as well, but my opinion is Aliens is better than Alien.
Yeah.
It
But
caught on more,
you-
didn't it? It caught on more.
Well, yeah, because it had the momentum of the first. Because obviously you had the shocking John Hurt stuff in the first one. So
Yeah, but I think it was still niche then. I think it was still, if you knew what Alien was and you liked it. But I don't think it was a, no one was walking around in an
wasn't
Alien
Jaws.
T-shirt or whatever. Yeah, you know what I mean. It was one of those. It was probably one of the first
to be
ones
fair,
that benefited
in the
from
late
video.
70s and early 80s, you wouldn't be able to get your hands on an Alien
Oh, you
t-shirt.
know what I mean.
No one wore T-shirts. Everyone just wore.
Well, people did wear
flares
T-shirts.
But people might have
tweed
been
jackets.
sharing it on video, going, "Oh, you need to see this, or you need to see that." Oh, what's it about? It wasn't. And then the second one come out, and it was like Blockbuster City, wasn't it? That was where it sort of took off, and maybe even damaged it because of the popularity.
No, it didn't.
Nah. That's just
Did it sell its soul?
what do you call it? Toxic chowderhead talk. That is.
Exactly.
You either like it or you don't.
But it was only, again, talk about things recently. It was only recently I realised that I've forgotten her name now. The cool badass girl in Aliens.
Sigourney Weaver.
No, the
No,
other one, the
the
one with
other
the
one.
red headband.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know what you're going to say.
Yeah, she was the one that gets killed on the phone in Terminator.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Oh, right.
keep your crew around.
Terminator 2.
Terminator
If
2,
you're being
even, sorry.
pedantic.
Yeah, she's the stepmom, isn't she?
That's
Wherever
right,
it's,
yeah.
it's keeps his people around. Peggy Sue Got Married, groundbreaking film. A
Awesome
really good time travel film.
What?
What?
It's
Peggy
just a
Sue got
rip-off
married.
of Back to the Future.
Hmm?
It was just a rip-off of Back to the Future.
No.
It was way deeper than that. It
Yeah.
had a much more detailed story than Back to the Future.
Yeah, but it was just a rip-off of Back to the Future.
Well, it's even got that really cool scene in where it looks like it's a mirror, but it's dual acted because they had to do it bit by bit.
It was the She-Ra to the He-Man. Literally.
She's not in a car.
She's got
Oh,
a sword.
Jesus. I know you two are weird.
No, but that whole bit with the mirror where she's getting done, there's a reflection in the back of her head in the mirror, and that was Kathleen Turner's sister, wasn't it? And it was one of those, so it looks like it's a reflection, but it's all done in motion to make sure, because
I see
they
what
want
you
a
mean,
mirror there, and they've done it in something recently. I'm trying to think. When you said
One Night in Soho.
Soho,
Yeah.
they did it in Soho as well, which actually made me think of that. And obviously, it's got Nick Cage in it. I don't see Nick Cage in Back to the Future.
Exactly.
And Jim
that
Carrey.
just lifts it.
And Jim Carrey in one of his earliest roles.
Great.
Yeah. Hit a nerve there, Paul, I think.
Yeah, because it always pissed me off at the time. It's like you just ripped off Back to the Future. Why would you? Why is anyone watching this film? Why are people not like burning it in the streets, setting up big piles of the videos and just burning them?
It was good.
No, it wasn't.
It's a good film. It's a
No.
great film.
No.
I mean, I get that it's time travel,
Yeah.
but that's about all that it rips off. And she actually wants to change her life because she did it wrong and got
As
married.
I
and-
said, it's just a poor version. Oh, well, they did it with a male role. Ooh, I know. What if we did it with a female role?
But it has none of the same plot points, right? Apart from the fact that it's time travel. What about the Philadelphia Experiment then? Probably the greatest time travel movie ever.
That's sacrilege, but because we all know the greatest time travel movie ever is Back to the Future, but
Time Machine.
Star Trek 4.
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
the one with the whales.
What was the Irish singer's name that was in it?
Samantha
Samantha
Mumba.
Mumba.
I was going to say Enya.
Yeah.
See, I can remember that, but I couldn't remember
That would be alternative.
Why could I
wouldn't
remember
it?
Samantha Mumba's name and not the guy that was in the thing?
Yeah.
It's like, I ever know who she is? I couldn't name one of her songs, but I know that because she was in a film with Mike from Neighbours.
That's how your mind works.
But Philadelphia Experiment, another one. It was an amazing film. Guys on a boat doing the old radar thing. Turns out it's in like 1984. Nancy Allen again, or is it Nancy Travis? Nancy Allen, RoboCop Nancy.
Nancy Allen.
Nancy Allen, and
RoboCop Nancy.
because there's Nancy Travis
Yeah, I
as
know,
well.
I know.
And in my head, she's RoboCop Nancy.
Yeah,
And
and forever will be.
and then there's a lot of really good like time travel sort of lure elements of story. You know, the butterfly effect stuff and all that, and the being able to change it, go back. Because when his mate ends up having to go back, and he stays there, and
Well, the whole thing that added to it as well is the fact that, you know, is this based on true events? Yeah.
well, it was, but not quite those.
Not
ones.
Yeah,
quite
no,
how they
exactly.
panned out in the film.
but you know, it just added to the whole atmosphere of the film, didn't it?
Oh, definitely, because especially in those days as well, same as, although it was previous, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was like based on true story. And I always remember
There's no
reading
time
an interview,
traveling in that.
and the guy was like, "But none of this happened." He went, "Yeah, but we'll just put it anyway.
Yeah.
Something similar would have happened somewhere or something." And they did. And yeah, but so that was a good, because you know, if that came out now, people would be googling that. Going, "Oh my god, there was a ship called that. There is a town in Arizona, or wherever it was." You know, because that's what people do. But yeah, Michael Parr, I can't remember how he says his name now. He was really cool. It was a dude from Eddie and the Cruisers, wasn't
I
it?
don't know. I could just see him with the classic 80s slick back hair and that, but I couldn't tell you his name. Doing cool stuff.
What about then, if not time travel, what about another film that messed people's heads up? 1985, Radioactive Dreams. Not see that one? It was Michael Dudikoff, John Stockwell. It's the nuclear Holocaust one.
It had ninjas in it.
Was there
Well,
any
Michael
breakdancing?
Dudikoff was the American ninja.
I know, that's why I mentioned
They're raised by their father in a shelter under the mountains, and it's a nuclear holocaust, and they come out, and it's really weird. Oh,
Nope.
have a look for the trailer. It's Radioactive Dreams.
Okay.
it. Radioactive Man.
Again, I don't think it was
Together in electric dreams.
it was around then, but it was one of those just weird films that again got made when it probably wouldn't do nowadays, because they're like just how weird it is. But Radioactive Dreams, check that one out. And then another, you were talking about action films, Remo, Unarmed and Dangerous, or Remo Williams, The Adventures Begin. Do you remember that one?
No.
What did you guys watch in it? You lot in your going outside. It started Fred Ward, and he was like this martial artist trained by oh no, he dies, but he's not dead, and then the government train him with this martial arts guy who's not really oriental. I'm trying to think who played him now. It may have even been because they made a film and then they made it into a TV series, but then it all got cancelled. It was going to be a massive franchise. I think in the TV series it might even be, what's his face, he was in Planet of the Apes, taped up to look foreign.
I thought you were going to say Charlton
So
Heston.
did I. That's where I
No,
thought
the
you were
other
going.
dude, the monkey,
Sorry, that's
Roddy
cool, I
McDowell.
watched that.
Roddy McDowell. I think he might have been in the TV pilot with a bit of tape on to make him look like a sort of
Because you could do that back
like a Shaolin master type. But they done this really cool bit where like he runs over the concrete because he can move his weight so fast that it doesn't tread it, and then the bad guys all run in and then they all get
I can
caught
run
in
over
the
I can
concrete.
run over the concrete.
No, while it's setting.
then. Oh, I see.
So he runs over like the water, then the bad guys all like sink in and stuff. But the film was better, and it was going to be a big thing. It was because loads of books about it, and it never quite. It got more famous on video later than it did
Yeah.
at the box office.
I'm beginning to see why.
Yeah.
It looked like
Look at this
so
crazy Oriental dude. He can run across concrete.
No, no, he was just a normal American guy whose name got changed when they thought he was dead.
He looks like Dempsey
Yeah,
or
he's-
Makepeace. One or the other.
He does look like he just listens to Bruce Springsteen a lot.
everyone did in 1985.
Yeah.
No, exactly, yeah.
And Phil Collins. if you like. But yeah, Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, or I think in this country it was Remo Unarmed and Dangerous. And that was the first and probably the only film I remember seeing at the East Point Cinema when they had it there. So there you go. Those in the know will know that glorious building and what it stood for. Cinema wasn't one of them.
No, certainly not.
It later became the dance studio bit at the top with all the mirrors. That was the East Point Cinema. But
I never even knew it was once had a cinema.
I think it was about a year. I think it was like some sort of funding thing, you know, like for the
Yeah.
community. And obviously, I don't think the films were that.
Someone stole the projector. The popcorn machine went missing.
You're probably right. Yeah. So, what other adventures were other people watching?
Well, I feel that I'm not bringing to the table these cult classics that only obscure people talk about. I mean,
Well,
in my head, I've got Ruthless
mainstream
People, Ferris Bueller,
Yeah,
Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
They're all
films
worth a mention as well. Just I couldn't afford those ones. I had to get the ones on the other shelf.
You
my-
went
my-
Down and Out in Boston and slightly nasty people.
Actually, most of the films I watched already had a bit of tape with the name written on it. They didn't do anything at the video shop.
I just find it bizarre that we're approaching almost the 40th anniversary of one film, and he's finally making a sequel, which is Top Gun.
When the sequel comes out,
It probably will be 40 years.
Yeah. So I'm going to put my hands up, and I think I've probably mentioned this before. Never seen it.
Top Gun.
Top Gun.
Oh.
Don't want to. Never have. Never
Is
will.
that because you just don't like Tom Cruise?
Mainly, yeah.
Yeah.
Wholly. In fact, that's the only reason I haven't seen it.
It's probably a good reason not to see it if you don't like Tom Cruise.
It's got Val Kilmer in it and the dude from Revenge of the Nerds. He's
Which
probably
dude?
been in over it. Anthony Edwards.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, he is. I've seen clips. No. Not interested.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can see why you again wouldn't want to watch it because Tom Cruise is in it.
When you watch it nowadays, there's far too much male beach volleyball. Don't remember it being that as a child. Just remember it being jets and fighting and the need for speed, not the need for baby oil and like a 20-minute montage of beach volleyball. With men with no
Something for
tops
the
on.
ladies.
Yeah, it was just like,
and some
I don't think it was. I think it was one of those films that they didn't realise what they were making, who their audience were. You know, like, you're all going to dress as pilots. We got a lovely beach volleyball scene for you to show off your muscles. The ladies will love it, yeah? Yeah. And it was, you know.
Then you're going to sing to her in a bar.
But, you know, they made a sequel.
Eventually.
Okay, so you want it. What about Savage Streets?
Right, are you just randomly making words together now?
No, it was Linda Blair when she was grown up from The Exorcist, and her sister, who is, I think she's deaf. They and her friends are all out one night, and they upset this street gang and like annoyed them, whatever. So obviously, like you do in the 80s, they turn up at the school the next day and like attack and rape her deaf sister, and then kill off one of the other mates, chuck one of them off a freeway, and then Linda Blair has enough and gets like a cat suit on and loads of weapons and goes and shoots the shit out of all of them.
Goes all Charles Bronson on their ass.
Yeah, basically, but it's a bit cooler because it's the Exorcist chick. And then at the end, they like, you know, she kills them all and it's all good. And then like they go and have ice cream or something just to, you know, see it's a girl. You know, it's... No one remembers that one.
Nope, can't
Man,
say.
your parents really control what you watched.
Well, no, but I think they just had taste.
I just realised that I should never have seen half of these films, and if I was around now and I was in my own class, I'd probably be referring myself for some kind of
Intervention.
yeah. But yeah, you missed out. It's worth a lot. I think it's on one of the Shudder or one of those sort of things. It does do the rounds, and there are some nice moments where it's clearly not that person falling off the dual carriageway she's been pushed off. You know, it's like a melon in a suit.
A melon in a suit.
Or something like that.
big
You know,
melon.
like just
Are you allowed to say that these days? Or
I don't know. That's probably a film anyway that came out the year after.
Yeah, one of those weird horror films that we've spoken about in the past, like The Couch. But we also did have one at the dawn of one of the best series of horror films.
Oh, go on.
Freddy Krueger. Nightmare on Elm Street.
The bastard son of 1,000 maniacs.
Although we all know that the best film didn't come out for a few years after.
Another couple of years to go for that one.
Yeah, number
best,
3.
The ultimate.
Definitely. Hinted at as well the other week in Resident Alien, where they just say, we all know 3 Dream Warriors was the best. And I'm like, yeah, we just had that conversation.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you don't know. But yeah, well written. And yeah, great film. Just a shame that, you know, I think everyone forgets that he was like a child molester.
Yeah.
You know, because that was basically what it was. That bit gets forgotten under the witty one-liners and all that. But, you know, he was murdering and abusing children. That was the one bit in that remake, when they did that modern remake with the Rorschach guy playing Freddy Krueger and not Robert Englund. That was the one bit they got right, where they brought back, like, when they found his room, she found, like, you didn't see them, but you see her looking at like pictures he's taken or whatever. And that was like, they brought the darkness back rather than the witty one-liner kind of things. And not that it's a nice thing, but they brought that back, and that kind of been forgotten about. You know,
but that is kind of what you want from a horror film, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of horror. I mean, it was good, the one-liner, and he was a cool one-liner dude. I mean, I wrote a letter to him as a kid and got a signed picture back. Still got
As a
that.
kid.
Yeah. I'm not disturbed. But that got lost along the way there, and like, that was the one good bit in that remake.
Yeah, well, you eventually got to the point where he was doing Freddy's Nightmare. So
yeah, so I mean, he became
the Crypt Keeper character for 2 or 3 seasons. I don't know how many seasons they made of that.
I don't think it was one. I think it's about
it?
13 episodes, I think. Again, a lot of famous people got a start in those, and you go out and watch them now. They're awful, but
they are terrible.
Yeah.
Nowhere, you know, it was billed as another Twilight Zone or Creep Show, whatever. Nowhere near.
But
as good.
One franchise that almost came about literally about the same time was Buckaroo Banzai, or as it was, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension. God, I try saying that pissed.
Yeah, that's why I literally just wrote. I think, did I just write Buckaroo? I don't even think I got as far as. Oh no, I did Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah.
Banzai.
You weren't referring to the game Buckaroo.
No.
But you had Peter Weller as Buckaroo Banzai.
Robocop.
I've got it on Blu-ray. It is worth a watch, and he's an adventurer, scientist, rock star, basically everything, and he's got friends everywhere around the world. It seems to have like a legion, and there's an alien invasion, and you've got John Lithgow, Ellen Barkin, Jeff Goldblum, Christopher Lloyd, Clancy Brown. I think that might have been his first film, because he's actually a good guy in that. Robert Ito, Quincy's man. Yeah, there's just so many people in it, and it's so weird and awesome. But it just, Jonathan Banks is even in it. Well, at that time he was just 80's bad guy, and then everyone liked him because he was in I'm a Teacher and I Sell Drugs, Breaking Bad. Just something else, but there's loads of cameos. But yeah, it was one of those. It should have been huge. It should have been massive. But I just don't think. I think it was one of those. That may have been one of the first casualties of like, we haven't got a clue how to market this film.
Could be, but then you look at the films that came out the same year: Ghostbusters, Temple of Doom, Gremlins, Karate Kid, Police Academy, Footloose, Beverly Hills Cop, Romance of the Stone, Purple Rain, Terminator, The Last Starfighter, Neverending Story, Supergirl, Children of the Corn, Nightmare on Elm Street, Spinal Tap.
Yeah, but they're set films. Tap done all right then, but grew in cult status over time.
But they
I mean,
had so much competition.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of competition, but also Buckaroo Banzai is caught with his trusted allies, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, in a battle to the death between the evil red aliens and the good black aliens from Planet 10.
Yeah.
And the Hong Kong Cavaliers are also his band.
That's handy.
And he does that really cool bit. Wherever you go, there you are. But it's Peter Weller just deadpanning his way through some weird stuff. But it's really good. But it is weird. But it's good. But yeah, I just don't think they, oh, we'll do this. It's going to be zany. But they just kind of, I think it got lost in the shuffle, as you say.
He was always one of those actors that you kind of thought, why didn't he become big?
He did a lot of big films that never became anything as well, though.
Peter Weller.
Oh.
He's done. He's
Wasn't
in
he a bit
lot.
hard to work with? I'm sure I've seen something where he was a bit of a knobhead.
I don't know.
Allegedly.
He
I'm sure there
ended
was
up
there
in
was a lot
Sons
of
of
problems.
Anarchy, didn't he?
Yeah. I'm sure there was a few problems set of RoboCop, and there was definitely some issues with Naked Lunch.
Yeah.
I can imagine there are lots of issues with Naked Lunch.
I don't know when that was. That was later 80s, wasn't it? Naked Lunch.
Yeah, that was around the same time as one I was on about just now, the nuclear one. I forgot what it's called now.
Radioactive Man.
No,
Radioactive Family.
whatever it was.
Radioactive Underground People. That one.
Radioactive Chad.
That probably will happen. But yeah, he's been quite a few things, but just never. It's those ones where, apart from RoboCop, which done alright, those ones he's got the lead in have just sort of become, like you say, like a Naked Lunch, where it's just kind of, it's there, it's cool, it's there to find. Buckaroo Banzai, it's there, it's cool, it's there to find, but it's never taken him to the moon.
I can't remember Buckaroo Banzai, if I'm honest.
I
It's
missed
one of
it the
those
first
weird
time
ones.
round. I'd always heard about it, and then I bought it on. No, I was listening to a podcast, and they were on about it, and then bizarrely, it was one of them. Like someone had it on eBay for like a $5 or something on Blu-ray, and I thought, oh, let's do it. And then I watched it, and
It was only when Ready Player One came back that I thought I might give it a watch, but then I thought, everyone's going to be on the bandwagon again. So, missed it the first time round. I'm not going to watch it the second time round. I'll wait.
Sometimes films just miss the mark.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Blue Jean Cop. That was the one I was trying to think of. Even with Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott couldn't get Weller over.
Right, so we decided to take a pause there for our journey into the 80s. For this week's episode of the podcast, obviously we'll continue with some more thrills and spills, shocks, and some frivolity from the other period of the 80s. But for now, that was episode 53, the 80s Strike Back of the Cult Faction podcast. Be sure to check us out on all the streaming services. Too many to mention. We've obviously branched out to TikTok. Thank you to all the followers, and thanks for all the comments as well. And for getting along and joining into some of the competitions we've got there. Don't forget our quiz. Brett, what's the quiz about?
He-Man and She-Ra. All the details on cultfaction.com.
And don't forget to like and review us if you could. It is appreciated. Every review counts. I almost said it in the every second counts voice.
You like it.
So, without further ado, I've been Paul Hawkins, and
Hi,
I've
Pete.
been joined as ever by
Brett Summers.
And Damien Hicks.
and check us on the other side for more 80s fashion thrills and spills.
Laugh me a laugh, sing me a tune.
Superman.
Without being morbid, it'll be interesting to go through that in a minute and who's actually still alive. We're on the jazz. You're a fool if you dare.
I'll keep telling you throughout the entire fucking episode if I have to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good in my ears.
I'd like to see who's going to dish out next.
Gonna kill you dead.
Well, I think we should laugh me a laugh and grin me a grin. And then I know that we can win. Dance me a dance, joke me a joke, and blow the clouds away. You're recording, aren't you?